Welcome, 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 everybody. It's a beautiful, beautiful afternoon. We thank God we are healthy. Wherever you are, good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are, welcome to the Liberian Dream. My name is Leo Nupolu Johnson, and I am your host. Today, we're going to be looking at some basic principles, and our topic for today is confronting the culture of low expectations in Liberia. And I know many of you are wondering, what am I talking about? Don't worry, pretty soon we're going to get into it. There are a few things I'm going to be looking at. And for me, I don't know about you. From the day I was born, we've never, for the longest that we live in Liberia, we've never been allowed to expect anything better. We've always been conditioned to expect the least. We've always been conditioned that you take whatever you get. We've always been conditioned that you just hustle. If God bless you, something happens, then great. But don't expect that you should settle for the best. So there are a few things I'm going to be talking about. And the culture of low expectations in Liberia is such that regardless of what we do, we end up in the same spot every time because we don't think anymore or do anything different. Every time. Doesn't matter what we do, we end up in the same place because before we even start, we've been trained and conditioned to believe that whatever we get, we should be thankful for. We've been conditioned and trained to believe that we are supposed to just be grateful for whatever is handed us. We've been conditioned and trained to believe that nothing different can happen regardless of what you do. We've been trained and conditioned to believe that only certain people are capable of giving us certain things. So as a result of that, we find ourselves going back to them over and over. We've been trained to believe that whoever is seen to be in a position of privilege at the time, we must subject ourselves to them because it is the only way that they can look upon us as favorable. And I will cite some very controversial examples, right? Very, very ones that are hot button topics right now. The culture of low expectation in Liberia, we look at it from our political arena. We look at it from the religious arena. We looked at it from our social arena. We look at it from everywhere. To the point where when you go to Liberia and take your time to talk to people, when you ask them, what are the challenges? They will narrate it to you in full details. And when you tell them, you know what, I'm thinking maybe we can try this particular intervention that we haven't done before. People will look you in the face and tell you, my brother, my sister, do not waste your time. It will not work. People will tell you, my brother, my sister, trust me, we've been there, done that, tried it before, it didn't work. So you think about it. If you've conditioned your mind to believe that nothing else can work except the same old backward, corrupt mentality of begging for alms, accept the same old backward mentality of taking whatever they gave you, and you must also be grateful for it. Instead of the same old backward mentality of someone taking your own resources and deciding what portion of it you should get or not get, and you are supposed to be thankful to them only because they hold some kind of title. Then you begin to understand what our problem is. Our problem is nothing spiritual. I beg to differ with the people who think our problem is about fasting and praying. God has endowed us and giving us everything we need to be prosperous as a nation. God has endowed us and giving us the skills, the talents, the ability we need to be successful as a nation. God is waiting for us to raise our expectations. God is waiting for us to hold each other accountable. So the prayer portion, God has already answered our prayers. He's only waiting for us to receive the responses by raising our expectations, by holding ourselves accountable, by looking at our friends in their faces and telling them, you are wrong. By looking at the leaders whom we hail and worship and adore and telling them, I'm disappointed in you because you are no different from the people you criticized. And I will not endorse your mediocrity. And I will not endorse your low expectations. I will not endorse it because I want better. I deserve better. My children deserve better. Let's break this thing down to practical conversations, right? It's no surprise. You cannot change what you cannot touch. For those of you who call yourself leaders, for those of you who call yourself bishop, pastors, whatever leader you are, you have failed to touch the lives of our people. So you make noise about wanting to change them all the time. You cannot change what you cannot touch. If you really want to change our people, begin to touch their lives in meaningful ways. Begin to ensure that when your children go to school, work hard and outperform everybody, they will not end up in red market selling in a wheelbarrow with a university degree. Begin to touch their lives in ways that when your children go to elementary, junior, and senior high school, they will not be molested by the very teachers that should be protecting them. Begin to ensure the basic necessities of life, shelter, clean drinking water, food security are available to them. You cannot change what you cannot touch. Until we begin to touch the lives of our people in meaningful ways, you're wasting your time with all your manifestos. You're wasting your time with all your political agendas. You are wasting your time with all your project proposals. You're wasting your time with all your quick impact projects. Until you can touch the lives of our people meaningfully, you are not capable of changing them for the better. Stop wasting your time to say you want to change their mindset. You want to really change their mindset? Begin to touch their lives and see what happens. Remember this, you cannot change what you cannot touch. To him or her whom much is given, much is required. Whether you are community chairman, whether you are youth league chairman, whether you are political party chairman or chairlady, whether you are president, whether you are bishop, you are pastor, you are minister, whatever you are, it is time for personal accountability. You cannot only enjoy the privileges of who you are, but reject the responsibilities of who you are. So let's look at the culture of low expectations that we all continue to feed into. I would take it at all levels. People look at our people and tell them, say, your poverty solution is 40-day fast and prayer. No, that is not true. God has given our people the talent, the skills, the ability, the resilience. Maybe we need to start telling them in our churches that the solution to breaking the cycle of poverty is dedication, is hard work, is commitment, is focus, is transparency, is accountability. We cannot only rely on the spiritual side because God has already taken care of that side. He's now relying on us to take care of the physical side. Maybe the new thing we need to do for the young people in our church is to not have them come to services from Sunday to Sunday. Sunday is church service, Monday the Holy Ghost fire service, Tuesday the Bible study, Wednesday the choir practice, Thursday the encounter, Friday the Atari, Saturday the choir rehearsal, then Sunday the service. No, maybe it's time that we begin to turn our cathedrals into vocational skill centers. Maybe it is time to turn our cathedrals during the week into productivity centers that will feed our young people with what they need to be successful, because God has already endowed and blessed them with the skills, the resources, the talents that they need. All they're wanting is for us to give them the opportunity, one chance. Let me say this to you. You generally get what you settle for and expect. Generally. So our leaders have gotten to the point of such mediocrity that they don't expect to give us anything better. And then we ourselves has been conditioned to believe that we are not supposed to expect better. So we generally end up with what our expectations are. That, my friends, is the culture and the danger of low expectations. Because you already have decided what you expect. So you receive, you accept, you settle for what you get as a result. So your expectation conditions your outcome. This is the time to start to say to our leaders, no. To lead, you must inspire. To lead, you must be accountable. To lead, you must be transparent. Let me give you an example. The recent saga with Senator Darius DeLon. I will not go away from it. Let's be honest. A situation happened where he posted a picture that he was accused of flying business class. He said he did not. Now, investigative journalism brought it up that he did. Now, I don't know for sure if he did or not because he hasn't responded, but the mere fact that people have the audacity to say you should not criticize your leader, Senator Darius DeLon, if it is true that in fact he lied about it, is shameful. You should be looking at your senator and telling him now, there should be outrage of telling him, we need you to clarify. Is it truth? Is it a lie? First of all, we need you to show leadership. We need you to show some accountability. Tell us, is it true or lie? If it is true, then yes, convince us it is true. If it is a lie, then we are disappointed in you. I'm not telling you to support him or not to support. That's not my business. If you're going to support him, you are doing the senator a disservice. A disservice. Because as a supporter, you have earned the right to look the senator in his face and tell him, I'm sorry, honorable senator, I am disappointed. I expect better. I expect much greater, because to him or her whom much is given, much is required. And then people equate that to mean, oh, because the other people do it too, why nobody talk? I care less. They should all be chastised evenly. In fact, the people who have given us hope, who have inspired us to believe that better can be done, are the people we should be the harshest on, because we cannot afford to allow them to slip into the very things that they've come to give us hope about that can be dealt with. Senator Darren Zellon can afford business class. He makes good money. He works hard. To win an election is not easy. He rightfully deserves what he earns. Whether you think it's too much or not. So it shouldn't be a debate that he flies business class. He can afford it. And in fact, when you are a leader of that stature, sometimes it's necessary to do that. Because guess what? When you are working, when you're flying out, sometimes there's meeting waiting for you already by the time you jump off the flight. There are meetings, there are engagements. You need to start working right away. So there is nothing wrong with flying business class to find some time to relax, so that by the time you hit the ground running, absolutely nothing wrong. So it baffles us as to why that should happen. And then we sit down in such mediocre manner and think we should be debating about who has the moral right or who's righteous enough to criticize who. No. All we're asking our leaders for you to do is to be true to what you said to us, to be true to what you committed to, that permitted us to give you our vote. Same thing in the churches. All we are asking our pastors to do is, all we're asking for is to please do the very things you preach to us every Sunday. You cannot come and tell me that God told you that this year is my year of absolute financial prosperity. You said this year, you were very definitive, and the year ended, my account is still in the red. And then the next year you come back and say, God said it's my year of absolute abundance. And I am supposed to now look at you different? It's accountability. God is so accountable that he could have stayed in heaven and waved a magic wand and saved us from our sins. No, because of accountability, he sent his son to live amongst us as human beings, to be crucified, to be mocked, to be embarrassed, to tell us that he wanted to be accountable. He didn't want to do it in a way that we would not understand. He wanted us to bear witness to his accountability. So if we want to follow in his footsteps, then we have no choice. It's time to raise our expectations, my people. And to raise your expectations, it takes courage to do so. So I've come to talk to you Liberians, my fellow Liberian brothers and sisters. Whether you're in politics, whether you are a member of the community association with your chairman or chairlady, whether you are in a choir, whether you are in parliament or the legislature, or whether you are a community chairman or chairwoman, whatever it is you are, or bishop or pastor, whoever, or just an ordinary person in your community, or even in your family, it is time for us to raise our expectation, because the culture of low expectation is dangerous, and it is our major problem. That is the reason why we pass around and call unsuccessful people experts. Haven't you noticed a common trend? All of the people in Liberia would like to hail and say they are experts on something. They can only show their exploits overseas. They can only tell you where they've worked in the United States. They can only tell you how much paper they published at UCLA. They can only tell you what they've done in London, England. They can only tell you what they've done in Australia, in Europe. But they got nothing to show in Liberia. I'm sorry. I got little interest in your exploits in London, in the United States, or wherever. Because you cannot change what you cannot touch. If you want to be revered and called an expert in the Republic of Liberia, then show us your exploits. Stop the big mouth. Stop referencing everything outside except in the very place that you are asking us to revere you. Let's raise our expectation and stop revering unsuccessful people who put themselves in places they should not be. Let's stop glorifying self-proclaimed experts. You want to be an expert? Earn it. Earn it. Let's stop asking questions about things we cannot solve. Everybody wants to talk about who should be the next president. Everybody wants to talk about and know how to select the next president. You don't. Everybody wants to talk about how they can rescue the Liberian economy. Don't go that far. Because to rescue the Liberian economy, you need to take care of the building blocks. It is the building blocks that sets into places to give you the bigger picture. So the one thing you can do for yourself, raise your expectation. You don't need anybody permission to do that. You don't need any money. Yourself, you have the absolute power to determine what you do. It's time for self-accountability. It's time to stop hiding under the shadows of just criticizing government. It's time to start hiding under the shadows of just talking about all the problems you are not capable of resolving. Let's take it further. To raise your expectation, it takes courage to actually do so. Most Liberians don't do it. You know why? Because they are either afraid of or used to being disappointed. One of the reasons why most Liberians have refused to raise their expectation, they are either afraid of being disappointed or they are already so used to it, because when you are used to it, you settle for what you're comfortable with. We are so afraid of making ourselves uncomfortable by asking tough questions, by raising our expectation, because we've gotten conditioned to. Some of us who are younger, the only thing we've always known in Liberia has been disappointment. There's never been a time in our lifetime that we've experienced inspiration. There's never been a time in our lifetime that we've been giving more than what our expectations are. In fact, we've always been giving less. We've always been disappointed, whether it's in the political arena, whether it's in the religious arena, whether it's in the social arena. Everywhere we've turned, we've been conditioned to be disappointed. So as a result, we don't know different. And that is the reason why even in our own families, we've never been given an opportunity for our expectations to be exceeded. So we've been conditioned to always be afraid of raising our expectations or be comfortable with being disappointed. So instead, we would rather settle for the least than aspire for something better. You've never experienced better. So it takes courage to aspire for something you've never experienced in your whole life. It takes courage because it is out of the realm of possibility. That is the reason why some of us are conditioning this message to start to say, no, it is only the courageous people that can facilitate real change. It is only courageous people that can invoke empowerment. It is only courageous people that can inspire. So we want you to be courageous. Do not settle for the least, even though you may have never experienced it. Aspire for better. Our generation must break that pattern. It's time to break the pattern. I don't know about the people who lived before the war in 19 Y'all can do what you do. But I want to take some accountability and responsibility for what I do in my generation. And one of the things the Liberian dream is about breaking that pattern. We must break that pattern, my friends. That in essence of itself is the Liberian dream. Breaking the pattern of the culture of low expectation. Breaking the pattern of the danger of low expectation. We cannot always continue to settle for the least of what we already have. We always do. We'll always do. It's time to break the pattern. You know the funny part about it? Regardless of whether we settle for the least or aspire for better, what ends up happening? We end up in the same place. So why not go for better? You're getting the worst anyway. The worst will happen. Whether you expect it or not, it actually is what will happen. If you don't do anything, your outcome will be the worst. If you do nothing. So why will you have to submit yourself to the worst outcome when you can get it for free? Don't waste your time on the worst outcome, because I can guarantee you that is what will happen if you do nothing. So raise your expectation. Look at the face of your senator and say, you are a disappointment to me. I regret giving you my vote over this. And for you to earn it again, you're going to have to do better. You're going to have to meet up to what you promised. You're going to have to live up to the things you said to me. It is unacceptable for you to lie to me. I am your supporter. I have earned the right to look you in the eyes and say you lied to me. I am disappointed. And the reason I'm doing it is not to bring you down. I am doing it because I want to lift you up. I want you to not fall in the culture of low expectations. I want you to not fall in the trap of corruption again. You told me you could do better, so I'll expect no less from you. I will not cut you a slack, because cutting you a slack will be me pushing you towards being corrupt. I want you to know that the consequences of your failures will be severe. That doesn't mean you may not be able to overcome it, but you will only overcome it by doing better. If we don't break that pattern, guess what? It means our kids will continue to only aspire to mediocrity. This cycle of poverty will continue. I care less where you live. Whether you live in Australia, whether you live in Europe, whether you live in North America, in the Caribbean, wherever you live, poverty will be the portion of our generations, regardless of whether we live in absolute wealth. Can you ask yourself why Liberians have traveled around the world living in absolute abundance, but they still settle for mediocrity? Even the children that are being born here to Liberian parents and to the Liberian community are still following the same trend of settling for mediocrity. Have you asked yourself why? It is not coincidence. It is not voodoo. Nobody swear you. You do not need no 40 days prayer and 40 days night or 40 nights prayer. You don't. God has given you the opportunity to come to a place of absolute abundance. What you need to do is to break the pattern of the culture of low expectation, or else your children will only be exposed to mediocrity. And if they don't see better, they will never do better. They will most likely end up doing what they see. They will most likely end up doing what they experience. That is reality, my friends. It is one thing to have experienced something better before, like I said. But if all you've ever known has been dysfunction, has been poverty, has been corruption, then you understand why it's difficult to develop the attitude for progress, the attitude for wealth, the attitude for leadership and accountability, because you are only used to what you're exposed to. And that is the reason why we need courageous people, courageous Liberians to stand up to the bullies. Everywhere they are, there are bullies in the church, there are bullies in the mosque, there are bullies in politics. They are all over. We need to stand up to them and stand up to them everywhere, regardless of what shield they come under, regardless of what garments they wear, with no fear, no favor. Because you know what? The worst outcome is what we are guaranteed anyway. So let's do something different that hopefully we might change that trajectory. Many of us, even though we profess we want something different, but we end up going for what our normal is, because our normal is dysfunction, poverty, failure. So be conscious of your normal and don't settle for it. Courage, my friends, is what we need. Courage, my friends, will take us to where we need to go. Because the danger of low expectation is such that your children, you are guaranteeing your children to live poorer than you. You are guaranteeing your children to get much worse outcomes than even what you got, because you are exposing them to mediocrity, and they will only do what they see, and they will only do what they've been exposed to. That's what they will settle for. And that is the reason why we love in the Liberian community to build routines around things, right? Because it is comfortable to build routines around the things we think we cannot change. We've gotten to a place to settle in our mind that we can't change certain things, even though we can. So as a result of that, we build routines around it. We must show up 2 hours late to every event. We think we can change that too, as simple as that. So what we do, we build routine around it. When they say the event starts at 12 o'clock, we all say, let's show up 2 o'clock because of Liberian time. We build routines around things that even in abject poverty, we start to live lavishly, even though we are poor. You are poor. The first time in your life you got 25,000, you use 15,000 of it to buy one car to show to the whole community that you are rich when you are poor. You came from Joploken in a village. You came from Paliploken. You came from Bokonima. You came from Zogowi in a village that the car only passed every 5 hours, and you all had to run on the road to see the vehicles. You came to North America. You are lying and pretending like you came from a wealthy family. You are lying and pretending like you were living in the American embassy. You lied to us. You are ashamed of who you are. You are not prepared to own your story, to aspire for better and commit that I will change that story. You develop routine around your poverty because all you're doing, you are lying to us because you are failing to take up the responsibility to change the story. And that is the reason why in Liberia, we continue to lie about Liberian history, because we are deceitful. Our so-called experts, good for nothing, achieve nothing in Liberia. They continue to twist Liberian history to accommodate them because they are not willing, they are not courageous to stand up and commit to changing the trajectory of our story. You can only change what you touch. If you don't touch the lives of our people, you'll continue to waste your time. You will die poor, regardless of all your degrees from the United States or Europe. You will die poor, regardless of all of the papers you publish overseas, because you got nothing to show in Liberia. And our generation, for myself, I will speak. I owe you nothing. I owe you no respect. I only owe you the fact that you are a Liberian. That's all. That's where it stops. You're nothing to me. You mean nothing. Let's stop settling for low expectations. You live in a Liberian community. They can call one community meeting without fighting each other. But at the end of the year, they host the biggest party. You showed up there and bought tickets. And then you leave from there and criticize the Liberian people who are good at drinking alcohol and having parties. Who are you? Are you any better? You're not. We'll take a break and see if we can take some of the comments so we can be more inclusive here. Do we have some comments to actually go through? Let's see if we can get some of your comments. Darling War would say, Delon is a fraud. Delon fool y'all. Y'all get over it. I don't know what you mean. Thanks for your contribution. But you don't know me clearly. So we will not spend too much time on that. Y'all keep wasting your time looking for who is fraud and not. Alexander Y. Masale. I'm following from Old Road Congo time on River Liberia. Thanks for joining, Alexander L. Masale. Kwame Opa Weeks, big brother, good to see you. He says, I'm in class, son. Thank you, big brother. Appreciate that you're here. Appreciate it. Thank you for joining. Tawanda T says, speak. Thank you, Tawanda. Thanks for joining. Yuna Momolu says, indeed. Thanks for joining, my dear. Tawanda T said, no one is above the country. Absolutely not. Liberia will outlast every single one. Kwame Opa Weeks said, preach, my big man. Thanks, big brother Kwame Opa Weeks. Thank you. Thank you so much for actually joining. Darling Wawood say, Lakumis, you putting your mouth on that. You're wasting your time behind people's names. Go figure it out. I don't care. We're here talking about issues, and you are then shifting the conversation to one individual. I'm sorry, but we're here talking about much bigger things than the individuals you want to jump on. Cecilia Logan, the shoes fit your comments. Man, dear, I'm not wasting time behind people. We're talking about issues. We're not talking about people here. You're wasting your time chasing personalities. Anybody who can show up and show a solution for Liberia's problem, you will be my man or my woman. I don't have no permanent person when it comes to Liberia. I always follow the people who do the best for our country. So waste your time debating individuals. James Poole says, amen. Thank you. Cecilia Logan says, tell them, oh, Papa. Thank you for joining, Cecilia. Much appreciated. You know, Momolu said, we are definitely hypocrites indeed. Anthony S. Pesima says, this is mere facts to our present day reality. Thank you, Anthony. Neshi Gogla says, true. Victoria Wede Tape says, I'm in class as well. Teach them, brother. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you for all of you who've been bringing in your comments. Keep it coming. We will open the phone lines now if we can. I don't know, Mr. Jai, if we can open the phone lines. For those who might want to call in, we got like 2 more minutes or so to take some calls here. Again, disagree with us. The point for bringing these things is to also have a positive, engaging discussion so we all can figure out where we need to go. These are just my recommendations and my suggestions.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia. From education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
Thank you, everybody. We're back. So again, let me condition people in a certain way. We tend to display the danger of low expectations whenever we start to have big conversations about practical, real solutions. And the only thing that comes to your mind is, who can I find to criticize with a point that has been made? That is the culture of low expectations, my friend. The culture we're trying to promote is one that says, what can I do to enforce some of these solutions? The culture that we're trying to invoke is to say, the next time a political leader or president, whoever shows up and I have an opportunity to engage them, what type of questions can I ask them? How can I hold them accountable? The type of conversations we're trying to invoke is to say, that my political leader that I support, are they meeting these standards, or am I settling for low expectations with them only because I think I support them? My political party is the Republic of Liberia. It remains constant. It shall not waver. Anybody who's able to support the agenda of the Republic of Liberia for where it's supposed to go, you will be my guy or my lady. The same example. People wrote the Constitution in 1986 under the coercion of the military, put in there that those who were committing crimes as members of the PRC can never be prosecuted. It is in the Liberian Constitution till today. These people pass around and we hail them as heroes. We don't ask them, why don't you have the simple decency to come back to us and say our Constitution is problematic? It was never written in the interest of the population. It was written to protect the new elites of the day, the PRC and their associates from the progressives of the day. It was written to protect them, to further their interests, and to consolidate their grip on power. Why are we not being honest with each other? The numbers are on there, 605-313-6004. Make sure you listen to the instructions, and the code you have to enter will be 791403#, or the number sign, as people will actually call it. Let's stop embarrassing God. Let's stop disappointing God, because God has given us so much. We haven't figured out anything to do with it. Then we still keep going back to him every day to ask him, what more can you ask God for? God gave you a small country of 5 million people. He gave you gold. He gave you diamonds. He gave you rich, fertile soil. He gave you iron ore. On top of it, he gave you the greatest resource any country can ever ask for. 6 to 7% of your population are young people between the ages of 18 and 35. There is no greater resources than that. Even gold and diamond cannot compete with the potential of that. No, you leave it and you go to ask God for more things in 40 days, 40 nights. You think other people in the world too God don't deserve to do something for them? God has done us so much good. He's giving us multiple opportunities to redeem ourselves, and we run away from ourselves. We settle for less. How can you be a child of God or Allah or whatever one you're part of, and the best you can settle for is the least? You see the upside down theory of it? My pa cannot be a millionaire and I settle for selling in a wheelbarrow in Liberia or in Rele Market. No, I will settle for owning business chains if I want to do business. I will not settle for selling in a wheelbarrow when my dad is a millionaire and has said to me, whatever son you ask for, I shall give it to you. Let's bring in some Christian principles. What are you praying to God for now? Or you just praying for the sake of praying because you can talk? Or you using it as an excuse to not take the abundance of opportunities and blessings that God has endowed us with? God bless you. He bring many walking. Wow, we suffer, but God said, you know what? Since they're walking, I will bring thousands of you to lands of abundance, to places that you can't just change your own story, but change the stories of entire communities. We came here and then we start to go back to do 40 days prayer and 40 nights prayer. We're not able to open a convenience store. We're not able to maintain a job permanently for more than 1 year. We're not able to improve our lives so our children can go to better schools. We're not able to inspire our children to aim for higher. But we go back to pray. Look, we were in refugee camp Budubran. We used to go for prayer garden 5 o'clock in the morning every day, praying to God, because God answered our prayer. He brought us here, or at least most of us here. We come back here again just to go back on service from Sunday to pray to him for what? We're supposed to be going to church only to thank him for the abundance. We're supposed to be calling for church services Sunday to say, today we want to alleviate poverty of 10 people. We want to sow seeds in your lives so you can stop living in a ghetto. We want to call a service today because we want to sponsor 10 Liberian children to the university. We want to pay your tuition. God has blessed us with so much abundance. It is time for us to use it. And let's thank him. Let's give him a burnt offering in that way. No, we go and start, we paying pastors money every day to continue to pray for us. After God brought you here, man, God invited you to the dinner table. Say, sit down, my son, sit down, my daughter, let's eat. You say, no, God, right in the corner, can you people small in my hand? What kind of problem we in so? What kind of problem? You think God not got other businesses to do? Your children are dying from starvation in Yemen. Landlocked. Nobody can go there. Bombs and grenades are dropping on them every day. People are in the desert with no water to drink. God has given us a fertile soil that regardless of how much damage we done to it, some way or the other, how much plastic we put into it, some way or the other, it's still reproducing. It's still giving us output, even though we continue to destroy. What more can God do for us? My friends, that is the danger and the culture of low expectations, where God has said, I'm going to make you descendants of kings and queens. I'm going to make you royalty by endowing you with wealth. And you say, no, God, I won't be slave. I won't be good for nothing. You're running away from yourself. Some of you are so afraid of what could happen when you stand up for the truth. Some of you are so afraid of how much good could happen when you raise your expectations. Some of you are so afraid for what your children could become if you just allow them, expose them to better. You're so afraid of it that you rather run to mediocrity, corruption, and lies. Let's get down to it. We're Christians, but we just like to take the Bible like only us can actually read it. No. God, read the Bible. God has given us everything. Everything. Thousands, tens of thousands of us. God took us from Budubran refugee camp in Ghana, from Sienzoli, from Sierra Leone, from Gambia, from Oru in Nigeria, from Zerekole in Guinea, from Yomu in Guinea. God took us and brought us, spread us in all these lands of abundance. God said, I will take you to where yours was stolen and taken to. Not so you can go and steal, so you can build. I will still give you access to some of your own resources that were stolen from you and brought to the West. I will take you there so you can access some of this and redirect it back to where it rightfully belongs. God bring you here and you tell God, say, no, me, I scale. I want this one. Just leave me right here. I won't pay the same rent I was paying while living in Lockington. You in America. You in Norway. You praying to God to only be able to pay the same rent you were paying in the apartment in Lockington. Think about it. The same rent you're paying in Lockington, living in Ale Shanti. You come way America. Instead of you saying, God, I'm here. Trust me, I will leave no stone unturned until I live to the fullest of the opportunities in this country so that my children don't have to worry about cockroaches entering their food when we go out. God, I will do whatever it takes now that you've brought me here so that my children don't have to be sleeping at night and cockroaches crawling over them. No, you won't pay the same rent you are paying in Lockington. So where you end up in the ghetto, in the building where when you leave, you got to put top in the middle of the hall and pour water inside so cockroaches can fly inside. I'm speaking from experience. I've slept in houses in Philadelphia, going to visit people who on social media look like they have the world. And at night, I enter their house and say, sorry, my friend, I have to book a hotel. If this was Budubran camp, I will understand. If this was Lockington, I will understand. If this was Gobacho Manke, I will understand. No, I can't be in Philadelphia and do that to myself. I will be insulting God. I will not do that. You people ask for solutions all the time. I'm giving you some practical ones that you don't need anybody permission to do. You don't need no money to do. You just need to muster the courage to stand up to what it takes. You just need to muster the courage to be who you are. We will take some more comments again. Let's see if we can take some more comments. just to get some reactions from our viewers here. Molba J. Telewoyan said, the stupid Pele man is beating a lot of senses in the heads of the smartest one. Good job, brother. Leo is strong. Thank you, Molba. I know you're being sarcastic. I know the analogy that you're making. Thank you. I actually appreciate your contribution. Kwame Opa Week said, and that's how our country can dig itself out of this quagmire. Thank you, big brother. Thank you for your contributions today. Batum Kula, Dr. Batum Kula said, let's overwhelm the country with analytical people. Let's get our people to vote right. This is the beginning of that. Batum Kula said, what's the number? Batum, the number is on there. You will see it, 651-339-1614. And then just follow the prompts that you will hear. Malba J. Telewian said, God said tire with Liberia's problem, bro. I understand you got a tire, but God said waiting for us to use the one that he gave us yet. He can put more than a full. The storehouse is already full until we can empty it. God waiting for us. Tanu Gibson says, sometimes I get tired talking about the same thing over and over about good speech today, Leo. No, Tanu, when I get tired, our life depends on it. We will talk it every day. And we can be suffering. I'm not getting tired. We will talk until we die. Until we no longer are able to talk, we will continue to talk. And we'll not just talk. Maybe we need to start shifting from just talking to doing. So when it comes to the talk, we will talk. Then after we talk, we'll go and do. And if we fail, if it doesn't work, we will double down and think about what we need to do differently to make sure it doesn't fail again. We're not running away from ourselves anymore. We will not. We will stay here. We will be who we are. We will embrace ourselves, the bad, the good, the ugly, all of it. We will put it on the table. And we will use the abundance of blessings that God has given us to start to deal with it so that our story can be one that says to you, you see where I was? So our story can be one that we can tell people on the African continent and the sub-region, see where Liberia was, see where God took us from. He took us from the Marvin clay to the top of the mountain. What are you talking about? We will continue to not only talk, but we should start to do so that 25 years from now, we can tell someone, oh, you got no understanding where God took us from. So we can tell our children, no, I'm sorry. You do not have the option to not aspire for the best because the only things you have available to you will be the best. So that you can look at yourself and tell somebody, say, are you crazy? Sorry, I'm not interested in that conversation because sorry, I've left from there a long time ago. If you still want to be there, knock yourself out. So you can look at your pastor in the eye and say, Pastor, no, I don't need you to promise me financial prosperity at the end of the year by some making God to look like a voodoo priest. I just need you to set up opportunities in this church so that we all can have the access to develop our skills, build ourselves up so that we can get better jobs. When I get a better job, I don't need any special prayer for financial prosperity. God has given us the resources for us to develop our church members to get skills, to write better resumes, to sponsor them, to give them scholarship to go to school to improve themselves. Do we have any caller yet, Anthony, or so, just to be sure?
No, Leo, not yet.
Thank you. No, but we don't. We keep going back to God. No, I'm sorry. You need to muster the courage, my friend. Let's confront this culture and danger of low expectation. To look at your senator in the eye and say, Mr. Senator, I don't take lies. I'm sorry. You disappointed me. I still believe good can come out of you, but you're going to have to turn that tide around. You are going to have to give me a reason to believe that you will not lie to me again. You need to muster the courage to tell your pastor, I don't need a prophecy that at the end of the year, this year will be my year of financial prosperity. I don't need that prophecy. God has already shown me the roadmap of what I need to do. All I need is a 1-year scholarship to go to university or a 2-year scholarship to go to university and train myself in a certain way. Or I need a 1-year scholarship to take that vocational program to become a plumber, because a lot of people are looking for plumbers and they're willing to pay a lot of money for it. So when I train and become a certified plumber, trust me, God will fulfill it. And you don't need to just tell me the prophecy. Let's build a roadmap to it. Muster the courage. Courage is what we need. So let's just stop talking. We can talk. Talking helps us raise the awareness. But we can't just keep talking. We must build. For those of you who are advocates, staging protests all of the time, that is great. But my friends, fighting only tears down. Fighting does not build. So unless we are willing to fight with one hand and build with the other, we are doing more harm than good. Because if you protest, right? If we fight, guess what we do? Yes, you tear down. And sometimes you are justified for tearing down because you may be tearing down something bad. But you can't want to tear down and expect that somebody else from somewhere will come and do it and build for you. No. When you decide to tear down because you think it's bad, you better be laying out the blueprint for building, because we will hold you accountable. If you want to tear down, the same energy we muster to bring to the protest, we need to muster that same energy to build a school in Joploken, because no school has been there for the last 20 years. The same courage we muster to bring 30,000 people on the streets for a protest, we need to muster the same courage to bring 30,000 people to contribute so we can solve the garbage problem in your small community in Mizo, since the government has failed to do it. The same courage we can muster, the same energy to fight even when the police comes with tear gas, because we want to prove the point and talk about bad practices. We need to muster that same courage to make sure no woman should die giving birth only because she could not access a clinic. No nurse should die treating a COVID patient because they could not afford rubber gloves and nose mask. Where are your priorities? You wouldn't want to fight? We've been fighting our whole life. I'm tired of fighting. I want to spend some of my energy now on the building side. There is no ills in Liberia we haven't fought. In fact, we fought for so long, we've toned down everything. But our failure to build is the reason why we are still dealing with the results of tearing down with no plan and no idea how to build. If you're going to tear down, you better know how to build. I'm tired of following people who only know how to tear down, but they don't know how to build. No. Give me a leader who knows how to tear down the bad things, but who understands what it takes and who have the courage to build something better. Don't call me to your protest when you don't have a blueprint for what to build. Don't tell me to trust you when you get there, then you will do something better. No, I don't trust you. I don't even trust myself. That is the reason why I remind myself and pray to God every day. I chastise myself. I examine my character because I don't even trust myself. I'm human. I'm flawed. So I will not trust you. Show me that you are a leader that can tear down a bad thing and build a good one. I will be at the protest. Don't just tell me to come to the protest because I have a responsibility to tear down. Show me where is my responsibility to build. We can take the final comments here as we actually wrap up. Anthony.
Okay.
You know, Momolu said, right, resources and information is what is needed for the growth of a country or an individual, not just faith and mere words. Thank you for actually contributing, you know. Luis Bianque Melayan Swa says, another Henry Costa in the making. Bravo and well said, Leo. My brother, sorry, I am just Leo. I don't aspire to be anybody else. I pray to God to continue blessing me so I can continue to develop and actually improve. I don't even try to be like Martin Luther King. I try to be Leo Nupolu Johnson because the gifts that God has given me, Batum Kula said, let's overwhelm the country with analytical people. Let's get our people to vote right. What God has given me, I am unique. So I pray to God every day to help me to develop it so that I don't deny the word of those gifts. God made all of us unique. What Leo Nupolu Lipele Johnson can do, you cannot do. If you try doing it, you will still not do it like him. What Mr. X or Madam X can do, I cannot do. So no, I'm not trying to be what that person is, because what God has given that person, God gave it to them for a mission, and only them can accomplish that mission. I'm more focused on what God has given me. I am praying every day to be able to discover it and to not run away from it because I think what the other person has is better than mine. No, what God has given me, only me have it. So yours can be better than mine. What God has given you, only you have it. So the day you start to develop what he's giving you, the sooner you will realize the value of what it really is. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for joining us so much. Like I said to you, the culture of low expectation is such that regardless of what we do, we end up in the same spot every time because we do not think anymore any different. And the solution is we must break the pattern, if not for our own self, for our children's sake. We must call a spade a spade. We must break the pattern. Our generation must do it. It's time to raise our aspiration. It's time our aspirations. It's time to raise our expectations. It's time to muster the courage to do so. Most Liberians don't do so because we are afraid. Or we are used to disappointment. We are used to how it's supposed to end. So we don't bother. But let me tell you today, you are condemning your children to the cycle of poverty, regardless of what location you change. Whether you're in Australia or Canada or United States or Great Britain or Norway or Switzerland, you shall remain poor until you confront and break the culture and danger of low expectations. My friends, thank you for joining us. My name is Leo Nupolu Johnson. I came to you live today on another edition of the Liberian Dream, and I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
We are Liberians.